Hello everybody and welcome back. Good to talk to all of you again today. And today we are looking at Tier 9 Dutch tech tree cruiser, the Johan de Witt. And I guess we'll just look at her from the port view first. Any notable things I will point out, and then we will take the ship into battle and I'll sort of show you how she performs. And hopefully by the end of the video you have a pretty good sense of what the Dutch cruisers are sort of all about. So first things first, in terms of armor, the Dutch cruisers at the high tier, tier 9 and 10, are going to be quite durable. Now, yes, they have certain weaknesses, which is, of course, 25mm here, 25mm over here, which means that, yes, they can be overmatched by battleships. However, you'll notice that in the bow portion of the ship, she's got a very, very large 40mm piece, and quite a bit of that is above the waterline. So, angled correctly, that becomes a nice auto-bounce surface. Also has a 40mm piece over here, so angled correctly here. That can be an auto bounce, and of course, oops, forgot to put that on. She does have a 27mm side plating here, but underneath that side plating is a nice thick 225mm main armor belt. So again, angled properly, pretty much you're going to be able to bounce shells. The stern, and you'll see a picture come up right now. If you actually look at it, underneath this 25mm piece is actually a slope sort of turtleback, and the slopes are 100mm pieces of armor, which means that yes, while she can get penned through the stern here by overmatching BB shells, now they're not likely to go into your citadel, so she is going to be actually quite durable. Now, aside from that, in terms of her deck armor, so of course 25mm here, 25mm here makes her quite vulnerable. However, her center deck section being 30mm does afford her some protection. Now, that's the key word, some protection against BB shells, because again, 30mm can be overmatched if you're dealing with guns larger than 430mm. So you do have some safety against ships like Montana and Iowa and things like that. But all in all, angled correctly, Johan de Witt will be quite durable. Oh yeah, nothing to mention. She does have a turtleback, but her turtleback is only 25mm, so don't really count on that to do any auto bouncing. That at most will provide you some additional sort of armor thickness, which might prevent some shells from getting in there. But I would not be depending on it, shall we say. Aside from that, let's say the survivability in terms of hit points, she benefits from survivability expert. Now, that mostly has to do with the fact that her repair party is a fast cooldown repair party. Her reload time for the repair party is 38 seconds. So this is a very, very fast cooldown. So having the survivability expert will give you more HP to heal back, making you just that little bit more capable of sustaining yourself during the course of the battle. 19% torpedo protection. I mean, it's a cruiser. 19% is not terrible. In fact, a lot of cruisers actually have a little bit worse than that. So 19% is perfectly okay. Her main guns, 240mm. Now, these guns, what can I say about them? They're pretty good guns. If you can get like kind of broadsides of cruisers and things like that, you can get citadel damage. However, they are operating on the Graf Spee dispersion, which is kind of hit or miss at times. Reload time base is 16 seconds, but I will recommend you take the reload module so that you can get the reload time down to 14.1. Now you might say, well, hold on a second, she doesn't really have a lot of range, she's only 16 kilometers, but typically with certain ships with really, really good concealment, a lack of range is not necessarily a bad thing. Yes, it does prevent you from reaching out further, but it also prevents you from getting spotted from the sides if you're using, let's say, something to block line of sight to the target you're shooting at. So kind of a, up to you kind of thing. Personally, I prefer playing with the reload module over the range module and really utilizing my concealment to the absolute maximum, getting to the right positions and engaging targets when I want to engage targets. HE is kind of okay at best. I mean, in terms of the rate of fire and everything, yeah, it's kind of anemic damage output wise, but it is usable. And combined with the Airstrike, you can sort of, kind of carry on fires at times. But I would not be depending on the HE all that much, but it is an ammo type that you will be switching to occasionally for sure. So keep that in mind. Playing this ship well does require you to make some pretty good decisions of when to switch ammo types. The secondary armament, I mean, just without any upgrades, you're talking about 7.3 kilometer range, which is not terrible. If you are caught in some closer range fights, secondaries can pitch in with a fire here, a fire there. So it's not necessarily completely useless, but you aren't really going to be brawling with the ship anytime soon. The attack aircraft. This is really the highlight of the Dutch sort of cruisers. They're good in certain conditions. So they're good in a situation where enemy ships are like completely stopped. They're good when the enemy ships are sort of movement locked, like let's say they're in a channel or they're being forced to angle. So that they're going to be in a predictable path. These things can drop bombs, they penetrate 36 millimeters, and they can do some pretty serious damage on ships that don't have very, very thick deck armor. So, let's say you catch a French battleship that's bow in, like a Jean Bart, for example, because the person messed up, you can kind of dunk on them a little bit, right? Of course, certain battleships with thicker deck armor, like, let's say Kremlin as an example, you're not really going to get all that much damage, but you should at least get fires, which is another useful thing, right? Set fires, force a DCP, set fires with your main battery. So all in all, the aircraft are a unique addition, let's say, to the game. And having played around with them, I enjoy having it. The receiving end, maybe not all that much, but I at least enjoyed playing with them, right? They also have another sort of quirk, which I'll show you later on in battle, that you can use, by the way. That's the thing I was trying to say. In terms of her AA, continuous damage, her mid-range AA is actually quite good. 541 damage. So, no slouch in the AA department for the Dutch cruisers as a whole. 33.7 knots with the speed flag. Not the fastest cruisers out there, but 33.7 is workable. Turning circle radius is 740 meters. That's actually not bad. Rudder shift time, 11.9 seconds. Not the fastest rudder, but again, pretty good overall. I did find these ships to be okay in the maneuverability department. Nothing really to complain about. And finally, concealment when fully upgraded, 10 kilometer surface attackability. That is phenomenal. Allows you to really get into some very sneaky good positions and really, kind of hammer enemy ships from places where they don't really like you being there. And of course, remember, these guns do have the capacity of actually hurting ships. All right, and finally, in terms of upgrades, recommend Main Armaments Mod 1, probably get Hydroacoustic Search 1. Aiming Systems Mod 1 is a good one just because, again, your guns are not super reliable because of crash bay dispersion, so anything to help it is going to be useful. Propulsion Modification 1 is also quite a good pick here just because you're spending quite a bit of your time angled away, shooting some targets, and then accelerating some more. Concealment System Mod 1, absolute must to bring that surface detectability down to 10 kilometers, and my personal preference is Main Battery Mod 3, although yes, you can definitely play with the range mod. No arguments for people that do play with that particular mod instead. In terms of your consumable, you have a damage control party, you have the hydroacoustic search, you have a DFAA, and of course you have that very fast cooldown repair party. In terms of captain skills, my recommendations are probably going to be the following. Grease the gears just to make the turrets turn a little bit faster. I still like priority target just to give me that information, so I could offer that. You can, of course, decide to say, hey, I just want a little bit more fire chance and go for pyrotechnician if you really want it. You could make an argument that, like, hey, maybe extra long hydro is my thing, so you go for the consumables enhancement, but yeah, for me, priority target has a lot more utility here. I opted for 4 of the 3-point skills: Adrenaline Rush, Super Heavy AP, Superintendent, and Survivability Expert, and I explained the Survivability Expert justification earlier, and of course, Concealment Expert. I don't really recommend Top Grade Gunner because Top Grade Gunner requires that there is a visible enemy ship within 10 kilometers of you, which just, the chance of that is not super, super high. So don't really see the point of that skill. I probably would just say ignore it. And then with 2 remaining skill points, I'd probably recommend going for something like Incoming Fire Alert and Gun Feeder. The other stuff is not super useful. Maybe Consumable Specialist and Gun Feeder, that could be an interesting one just to slightly decrease the speed of the reload time on the DFAA. Yeah, the other recommended skill, Last Stand, not particularly useful on the Johan de Witt. As I showed earlier, the actual steering gears area is very well protected, and I have not found that the engine is all that vulnerable. So anyways, let's take a look at how the ship does in battle. All right, on Haven in the Johan de Witt, along with the division mate who's also in a Johan de Witt. He got his Johan de Witt on the very first container. I got mine on the very last container. Anyways, we don't talk about those early access boxes. Yes, we don't talk about them. Let's talk about the ship itself. Johan de Witt. What are the things that she was good at? So through all my playing, I found that she was ideally suited for any kind of stalling, delaying flank. You know, anytime you needed a flank to slow down, delay the enemy from pushing, Johan de Witt was fantastic for that. Now, there's a couple of reasons why. One, she's a durable cruiser. This is not an easy cruiser to kill off. If you angle correctly, the enemy is going to struggle. Second, you have that fantastic concealment. You can appear and disappear sort of whenever. So enemy team, when they're pushing, they have to be a little bit considerate of where you might be going, right? And then, of course, finally, you have the airstrike threat. And the airstrike threat is a big one, because if the enemy ship sails into it and they eat a bunch of damage, that's not really all that great for them, because it's usually damage plus fires, right? And then, let's say if they do end up having to, let's say, dodge you and they turn, well, then they present a broadside that you can clap for a good amount of damage using armor-piercing shells as well. So all in all, if the enemy is pushing you, Johan de Witt is a good ship for stalling a flank. However, I was not a huge fan of the Johan de Witt when I was forced to push the opponent, right? If I was like, okay, I have to really break through here and I really got to force these guys back and I got to push really hard, that was not great fun. And it has a lot to do with the fact that Johan de Witt's sort of overall sort of DPM with HE and its fire chance per minute and all that is just not all that great. If her AP is kind of really solid and good, but the enemy is running away, they're usually angled. So your AP is going to be a little underwhelming there. And if you go to HE, yeah. Plus the fact that, graph speed dispersion, not super reliable sometimes, means that, yeah, you can fire full salvo and not really get all that many hits. All in all, better for delaying. Oh yeah, and of course the airstrike consumable, again, if the enemy is running away from you, then you've got to get closer, right, in order to deploy the airstrike sort of in front of them, but, they're running away. So you got to think about sort of the movement of ships, right? Coming towards you, you can put it right in front of them and they can be 13 kilometers away and you drop it at 12 and they sail into it. But if you're dropping at 12 but they're going away from you, you can't drop it when they're at 12 kilometers, right? The enemy ship has to be closer. Anyways, as you can see, the AP does work against cruisers. If cruisers give you a broadside, you can blap them for citadel hits, and that's absolutely something that this ship can do. Her armor-piercing penetration is quite solid, and along with the super heavy AP skill, you can get some extra little damage in there, and that actually can do work. Now, you'll notice here that I deployed this airstrike on the King George V, but this is not the world's best deployment per se, right? This KG5, as you can see, is moving forward a little bit. I probably could have put, sort of 2 in front of him, and that KG5 probably would have eaten a bit more damage. But all in all, got a couple of early bomb hits for 1 fire. Not all that great. You'll see far more effective strikes later on. I did end up angling not as much on one of the salvos from the BB. Ended up eating some damage there. That's mostly also because, in order to get all the guns out, you do sometimes have to give a little touch bit more angle than you would otherwise want. But it's okay. 10-kilometer surface attack. I can just disappear. And that is one of the really big advantages, and you really have to make maximum use of it. You also notice that with the fast cooldown repair kit, I'm able to bring myself back relatively quickly. Although I do wish I didn't lose that HP at the beginning, because that HP will become quite valuable a little bit later on. Okay, so the Jean Bart there, oof. That was a bit of a hit there. And you'll see that with the Jean Bart, in the position that the Jean Bart is in, that is going to be a prime target for the airstrikes. That is a Jean Bart just basically sitting, kind of bow in, trying to reverse. Not a good position. You don't want to be caught in this kind of position against Dutch cruisers if you're on the receiving end of things. You want to keep in motion. You want to move. You want to be able to maneuver. Don't be like that, right? Because a Dutch airstrike called on you and you're stuck like that is going to hurt. And that Jean Bart is pretty limited in his movement. He's only able to go back or forward a little bit. It's not a lot of places that he can go. Otherwise, he risks getting hit by, you know, much more larger caliber guns, and that's not particularly pleasant. Okay, the King George V. Well, yeah, probably not the best place to be, and that KG-5 is going to die reasonably quickly as well. As you can see, the HE damage is, it's tolerable. One of the advantages of the airstrike, by the way, is the ability to actually look over islands. So if you're curious about, hey, where's this enemy ship going? It's a good place to just use the airstrike without actually deploying it. Just to look over the mountain to go, oh yeah, they're coming this direction. I know what's, you know, where they're going, shall we say. You know, get a rough sense of things. And that can allow you to plan certain maneuvers. And, ooh, by the way, see that? That's fantastic. 3 fires on the Jean Bart. Of course, the Jean Bart immediately popped DCP because 3 fires would suck. And most of your HP would probably get melted there. So, good DCP, but of course, still in a position where he's going to get farmed, so not particularly fun. Okay, now, Donskoy, this is definitely a ship I'm not going to want to get into close quarters battle with because not a good idea, right? Donskoy's got torpedoes. I don't have any of those things, so I'm going to try to kite away and try to pull some distance here. Okay, that I believe is an enemy. I believe that's a Flint over there in the smoke, and that's shooting at me. So that's not particularly fun, but I'm going to try to pull some distance. And with those arcs, that's probably not going to be too much of a problem here. All right. Just taking a look here. Not getting as many of the good tracers, so I'm not really zeroing down on the position of the Flint in the smoke. So kind of a wild salvo there. Should have taken a little bit more time, really kind of looked to see where the shells were coming from, get a better sense of him, his position in the smoke, and then hit him there. Okay, so can't do that, so just turn my attention back onto the Donskoy. Can't really shoot at the hull area, so just try to aim for like superstructure, upper belt. Oh, there we go. Can chip him with AP there. And depending on how much he's going to give me here, probably going to get some more. There's the secondary fire, so that works too. Yep, there you go. Just target the superstructure, and there we go. Okay, obviously no worries from the torpedoes of the Donskoy because I have the hydroacoustic up. Now, of course, the enemy team, as you can see, has sort of pushed really, really hard on the other flank. So I'm going to probably have to go over there to try to do some kind of stall work just to kind of minimize the ability to just full-blown push right into our B cap, because if they get there, then things can get a little bit not so fun for us, because even though we have a Scharnhorst and Colorado, they're not really going to be able to hold back like a Musashi and a Strasbourg. So I'm going to see if I can get over here and do some work and maybe try to stall that a little bit. Enemy Atlanta, well, okay, I can shoot an Atlanta. That's not really an issue. Hopefully this Atlantic gives me some kind of broadside, but that little island. Atlanta got behind that island just in the nick of time. Also got a radar up. Okay, try another salvo against the Flint in that smoke. Again, didn't really get all that much good sort of positioning on the Flint. Yeah, because the Flint fired like one salvo, then stopped shooting. And let's see if I can get the Atlanta here. That looks like a good salvo, and 6 over pen. Oh, come on. 6 over pens. Some of the American light cruisers, they really have their way of Oh, okay. Can I get the kill now? Nope. More over pen. Oh, god darn it. Okay. Getting farmed by the HE. Realistically, if I was playing the Atlanta, I'd probably be going for the AP right there, but it's okay. If he's going to go with HE, that suits me just fine. All right, Musashi is up close here, 6 kilometers, but as you can see, once again, very useful airstrike reticle. Just see sort of right over the hill, mountain, cliff, whatever. See what's going on over there. See what his movement is like. Drop the planes in front of him and see if I can get some damage and fires. Oh, okay, Surrey, that's fine. Punch the Surrey. 13k, there we go. See, the AP does actually do really, really solid damage. And I believe the Surrey's going to make a really big mistake here. Yep. Full broadside, and see you later. Okay, Musashi's decided to come out as well. Now, the Musashi has taken some damage, including the 2 fires earlier from the strike. And misaligned turrets, so of course that means I'm going to try to hit him with the AP. Should have aimed a tiny bit higher, honestly, here, because I should have gone for the upper belt instead of the main. Just teeny little bit less penetration than I would have needed to get into that citadel. But it's okay. Still got the kill. Take care of the Musashi. So currently I'm sitting on 3 kills, and my division Johan de Witt is also at 3 kills. We'll come around, see what else I can take care of. There's an enemy Strasbourg that's kind of low. Believe somebody else is going to finish him, because I don't think I'm going to get around a good enough angle to actually get a shot in on this Strasbourg. 1000 HP left on it. I mean, I'll take a shot just in case nobody else finishes him, because he is healing up. But there it is, Johan de Witt. In my team, the one in my division picks up kill number 4. Okay, now let's see here. Enemy has a Colorado. Okay, so let's take a look at what the Colorado is doing here. Now, Colorado, of course, as you can see, kind of in a predictable straight line right here. So drop the airplanes right in the path. And you can see what happens when you get a decent strike on a ship where you actually pen their armor. And this Colorado is going to eat a nice big chunk of damage from me here. So let's see here. And there we go. 13,000 damage with 1 fire, 7 pens with the bombs. The airstrikes used correctly hurt. Absolutely no other way to put it. I mean, if you get caught by the airstrikes and you do not have the armor to resist it, yeah, these airstrikes can do a lot of damage. But you can also see, hopefully, during the course of this game, that generally the use of the airstrikes is quite sort of specific. You're not using it randomly, like, oh, I'm just going to drop it like against whomever, right? Generally speaking, you want to be very aware what the enemy ship that you're dropping against is dealing with. Are they movement locked? Are they just unaware? Are they not paying attention? Are they fighting something else? Are they restricted by the geography around them? Is it because it's like a narrow channel? All of those things, all of those factors will come into effect when you are considering what you're going to do with the airstrike. The Musashi, for example, look, the Musashi had to move in that certain kind of way. Either turn this way or turn the other way, so, right in front of him, and he's going to eat it. Plus, Musashi's not super responsive, right? It's not like a cruiser or destroyer or anything like that. You generally aren't going to use airstrikes against destroyers. Destroyers can get out of there just way too easily. I'll try it on a cruiser. Yeah, so again, take a look at the position of that Flint. You'll see that the Flint's kind of in a weird position, kind of not able to really go anywhere, restricted. So might as well try for a drop. See if I can get some damage in there against that Flint. And I do get like a tiny little bit there. Hey, I pick up a Confederate, which matters not anymore. Wargaming, taking away all of my achievements, making me feel like I don't earn anything from them. Anyways, zen, calm, yes. Anyways, so I got my Confederate. I'm on 4 kills. I really want my Kraken right now, because my div mate got a Kraken. I'm like, come on, I really want a Kraken. Somebody show up so I can shoot him, and perfectly right on time, there comes the Mayhem. And I am going to be a cheeky bastard here. I'm going to be a cheeky bastard. You guys know what I'm going to do here. Yeah, Atlanta takes a nice little whack. I see 6k HP. Like, I might not be able to salvo that. Ah, perfect. There we go. Almost got KS there by my own div mate, but there we go. We both end up with a Kraken unleashed. I was being cheeky. Unfortunately, yeah. I was trying to preserve my HP by popping the fire and, popping the DCP for the fire. But the Benham manages to get one more fire on me, and that is the end of my game. I just panicked, tried to deploy the the bombers, because why not? Maybe the Benham wasn't paying attention. I'll sail straight into it. All in all, 140k damage game with 5 kills. Pretty happy. I mean, you should see sort of the characteristics of the ship, what the ship is capable of, the strengths, the weaknesses, the things that you can and generally cannot do with the ship. Hopefully you get a good sense of that, and it might help you guide your way of thinking when you get to the ship in the future. Yeah, and by the way, speaking of, actually I can't really talk about the tier 10, but if you think about how the tier 10 is characteristics wise, the gameplay is going to be quite similar, so do keep that in mind. I'm just going to speed it up here. We actually lose the Skane here at the end here to the Benham, but we have all the caps, and of course time and cap and points are all on my side, so we are definitely going to go win the game.
And of course, yeah, my div mate also picks up Confederate, but once again, our achievements mean absolutely nothing. They're just pretty medals that we can put on the scorecard at the end like that and go, ha, see, we got it. 140k damage. Obviously I've got a bunch of flags loaded up, so tons of credits, EXP, free XP, all the good things. And in terms of base experience in this particular game, 2031 for me, 1,883 for my div mate, so we're both top of the team pretty much. Pretty good game overall here. Damage-wise, as you can see, good amount of sort of balance between HE, AP, bombers, and fires and everything. Final credits and everything with all the flags mounted, 868,000. Anyways, folks, I hope you enjoyed the Johan de Witt review. If you got any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Aside from all that, take care, have yourselves a wonderful one, and I'll talk to all of you again next time.